Homes require maintenance. Some issues are glaring, like a bad leak, a broken window, or a problem we'll solve in just a moment. But others fly under the radar. Maybe you have a door that won't close because of a loose hinge, or a ceiling fan that runs a little wobbly. Small issues can grow into larger ones, and those are what you really have to watch out for. If that door won't close, it might come completely off its hinge and snap the frame. Or that out of balance ceiling fan, it might come loose and tear a hole in your ceiling. It's crucial to stay on top of those structural components in your home. You may feel compelled to call a contractor, but you don't have to. So let's repair a hole in your drywall. Now there are quite a few tools needed for this project, so let's run through them. Where to begin? You can't just plug this hole up and just call it a day or hang a picture over it. It takes strategy. The first thing to understand is that you have to fix it. This hole will actually get bigger before it gets better. That's because in order to fix the hole, you need to create an opening from stud to stud in order to screw the patch in properly. So here's my hole. It looks like it was caused by a kid's toy or a ball. So I can see that I'm gonna have to work in this area. And I've got a piece here that looks like it's gonna cover it. So what I wanna do is find my studs. So I'm gonna grab my stud finder and my pencil, and I'm gonna locate the studs. So I know there's one in the corner. There always is. It's standard construction. It's gotta support the drywall going this way and going this way. So I know I got one there. So let's find this one. So I turn on my stud finder, I drag it across, and I see that I've got a stud right here. It's very close. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut in this corner. I'm gonna make a cut here and here. And once I find this stud, I'm gonna make a cut halfway on the stud, because I want to leave the bearing for this drywall still on this stud, but also give half of that stud to our new drywall piece for bearing. So let's knock this little piece of drywall out and see what we've got. So I'm not feeling a stud right there. So let's check it one more time. It feels like it's more right here. The stud finder at this point isn't really necessary, but let me just kind of double check myself. Yep, there it is, right there. So that's right about where I was feeling underneath there. Okay, so what we want to do is open up this hole to the stud. Once I find the stud, I want to find the point that's halfway across the stud, and that'll be 3/4 of an inch. Our standard stud is 1.5 inches thick. So let's do that. So I'm just kind of opening it up, trying to find it. You could use a drywall saw to cut over here and find out, but I'm just opening it up so we can see what we've got. Clean this off so I can see it. My stud starts right here. So from this edge of the stud, I'm going to go over 3/4 of an inch. So I'm making a mark right here, 3/4 of an inch. I got my mark. That's where I want my new piece of drywall to end. So let's get a measurement from here to there. That will give me the length of my new drywall piece. So now if I look, my new piece is going from here to halfway on that stud, and that is 11 1/8 inches. Okay, I'm done with this hole for now. I take my drywall piece and I'm gonna measure over 11 1/8 inches. So I make a mark there. I'm going to make a mark across the top to get it square. Okay, so I want to make a cut here. All right, so I'm going to use this to demonstrate how to make this cut. So I'm moving my step stool over, and I'm going to show you how to cut this drywall. It's really pretty easy. So I set it down. I've got my 2 marks. I'm going to place my level just like that. Then I'm going to grab my razor knife and I'm going to score it right here. I want to cut at least through this skin down into the gypsum area. It's going to take a little bit of pressure. Set this aside. And this will just snap. So this is the piece we're using. I'm just going to cut the back paper. And we've got our patch piece. I'm just going to clean this up a little bit. Just be careful with this razor knife, it's sharp. That looks good. Okay, we're going to start moving along here. This is our piece right here, and I don't even have to draw out a line. I am going to use my replacement piece as my template, and I'm going to score along the top, the side, and the bottom. Now you can see the outline of my hole. I also need to score right there. That's where my corner piece of tape is from the existing taping job. Okay, all I need to do now is cut through with my razor knife. In these areas up here, if you have a drywall saw, you can do that also. So let's cut it. This is going to take a few passes. Just going easy at first. I'm at kind of a weird angle, so I'm just going to take my time. First couple of times, try to be accurate, because that's a groove you're going to keep using over and over. The beautiful thing about drywall work is if you overcut, we're also going to be taping this out. So it will cover that up. Okay. You get to a certain point, you can probably knock it out like I just did there. I'm giving it a little tap. Once you've cut most of that drywall, and that is not a problem. All right, so we knocked that out. We've got just some of this paper skin at the back. We're going to trim that out, and then our hole is ready. You can see our studs. There's our stud halfway exposed. There's our corner stud. All right, so I've got my hole, and I've got my piece of drywall to fill it in. I've cleaned it all up, and I cleaned around the edges, and it fits right in there. Now all I want to do is get a couple of screws here and 2 screws here. So I'm grabbing my screw gun, grabbing some screws. I'll get the corner here first. I want to get that screw all the way in and recessed, but don't break the paper, because if you do, you're down into the gypsum board and it's going to rock its way loose, and we don't want that. Let's get another one in. Two more here. We've got our stud back there for solid backing. Countersinking just right, not breaking the paper. Up here. We got the final screw in. This is a much stronger situation than just trying to spackle over it, or they have quick fix kits, which are great in a pinch, but we wanted to do this the right way and make it strong. That way we could hang a picture on it. We've got solid drywall. So let's get going with our taping. So I got my mud pan, I got some mud in there, and I got my drywall knife. So I'm using that chopping motion to mix up the drywall one last time and smooth everything out. That way we won't have any lumps on the wall when we go to apply it. So let's do that. I take a little scoop, just like that, and I'm gonna work this edge here against the wall. This edge will be held out, kind of like this. See how that's gonna go? I'm gonna push that across there. Using the same technique here and here. Taking about that much mud, working that bottom joint. Get the vertical one. What we're doing is we're laying a bed to put our tape in. The tape needs to stick to the drywall with the mud. We're going to have a corner piece here, so I need some mud over here on this existing part over here, even though we're not touching it with our patch. Okay, so we're looking pretty good. I'm a little shy here because the tape is about 2 inches wide, and I need to have enough of a bed to accommodate that. Looking pretty good. So I've got my drywall tape here. What I want to do is place it with the center of the drywall, and there's a ridge there. That's so we can easily fold it when we come to this corner piece. But the center point of the tape, which is marked out by the ridge, needs to go right over that seam. So we're applying it. It's right over the seam. We get out to the edge here. I've got a little area that I need some more bedding. So I'm going to place my knife right here. I'm past the seam, right here, and make sure it's down firmly, and I'm going to first apply a motion that'll rip it there and then down the side. My first pressure is there. You just pull it down, and it cuts the tape neatly. I'm going to do it to this seam and our vertical seam. So let's get to it. Another tug. Now I'm going to get this vertical seam. I'm kind of pushing it down in there as I go. I can see that I'm a little shy right here too. You just want to make sure that you get the mud behind the tape completely. Now I can pull a little out this way from underneath. I'm pushing it out from underneath the tape. Same on the bottom. This top piece looks pretty good. So we're using joint compound today, but we usually just call it mud. That's a tongue twister, for me at least. No, just kidding. Let's get that vertical piece. But we want to make sure, again, since we put these pieces and scraped them off, that we've got some drywall mud there. So we're going across the top, pulling it down, and that's where our piece is going to go. So one more piece, vertically. I'm going to start at the top here. I'm going to pull it down. Let's see. Let's find that spot where it is. Here's the joint. Place the tape centered on the joint. Get it at the top, the bottom. Using our cutting motion, cut the tape. Now I'm going to completely coat the whole area and flatten it out as best I can at this point. Sometimes it takes several coats. So first I'm going to get this vertical piece that I was just working on, get it in there. Make sure I put pressure on the tape to make it stick to the wall. That's looking pretty good. So I want to clean it up now. Same motion here. Now let's get that corner piece. I've mudded it up. So in the corner here, I can't use that quick cutting method while it's in place. So I'm going to put my tape up here, find out where I need to cut it, and I'm going to make a cut on that. This will be our corner piece. Okay, now there's a line here, and it folds easily on that line. So we use that. So we get our mud in here. Looks like I might need a little more on the top and the bottom. The great thing about doing drywall work is you can always cover up your mistakes as you go. A little sanding and another coat. Okay, so let's stick this piece in there. First, take your knife and just tuck it into the corner, like that. Then gently work it vertically. If you try to pull it this way, it'll just pull it right out of the corner. So I'm working vertically now. Same here, pulling away from the part that's already seated. And there we go. So a little more coating here, and we're going to come back to this later. We've got to let it dry for 24 hours. I know I'm going to need a little more in the middle where I wasn't doing any taping. So it's a little thicker there, and it might crack by the time we get back to it, but that's why you let it dry. All right, so a couple quick passes. So that's as far as we're going to go with this right now. I'll come back in 24 hours. I'm going to scrape these ridges off and give it a sanding. And at that time, I either give it another coat or we apply the texture. All right, it's been 24 hours. The surface is nice and dry and ready for sanding. So we just got a couple more steps here. First, we have to sand the area, then texture it. So here's what we're going to need. I got my sanding block. I've got my drywall mask, because this drywall dust can be really irritating. And then finally, I've got a can of texture. I'm going to put on my mask, grab my sanding block, and go to work. I'm using a fair amount of pressure here because I don't want to expose that tape. The longer I go, the closer I'm going to get to it. So you just have to watch out for that. Really, you're going to notice it more around the edges. Now let's get this side. Now step back and take a look, and let's see if we're good. The overall is good. I've got a little crease here, so I'm just going to work that just a little more. All right, we're all done with the sanding. Looks nice and smooth. It's ready for texture. So we're just going to make sure that there's no drywall dust left on our surface. And we're there. Looks good. So here's our can of texture. So to operate it, let me get the cap off. To operate it, there's a dial on the back that adjusts how much texture comes out. This is for light. This is for a heavier texture. We're right in the middle. And so our can is for orange peel. And that's what we have. We have just kind of a medium orange peel here. So we got to shake it up for a minute. we got our piece of cardboard. We're going to get the can primed, and it's also going to give us an opportunity to see how our new texture is going to match the existing. So let's do that. I've shaken it up pretty good now. I've shaken this for about a minute. We're going to be about a foot away here. We're pretty much ready to go. That looks pretty good. I want it to be a little tighter, so I might move in a little closer. Now notice how when I started, it was splotchy and wet. That's why you do a little bit before you get going. So I'm looking up here at what we have on our previous texture. I'm going to use this area and try to match it. So I spray it on in a circular pattern, and I see how I'm doing. And that's very close. You can always hit it with a sanding block once it's dry. That'll soften the look of it. So you got a little blank space there. You just fill that in and work your way across. Okay, so let's get to it. Now I'm going to work the area where we have the patch. I'm going to start at the bottom and fill it in. Now when you get in the corner areas, there's a tendency to do a lot. You've got this side, then you try to fill in the corner, and then you've got way too much texture on there. So we're just going to work our way down smoothly. We're not going to worry about it too much. We just want to make it look nice and smooth. So what we do, this part is pretty much done. What we need to do is feather it out into our existing texture. Now, let's get this part done over here, but what I want to do is shield it from getting it on our window. We're going to hit this part here, but I want to shield our window. So I'm just putting my cardboard piece up there. I'm going to be shooting from this side. I'm not going to hit this because that's the old texture area. So I need to work my way over here. I see I got a little patch area there. And don't be afraid to work it on out into your existing. That'll do that area. I've adjusted it for a finer texture because I think now that I'm looking at it, it's a little bit heavy. I'm not going to get near that window. Just feathering it out, hitting some other areas that don't look good. Right in here, I'm a little thin. All right, I've done all the feathering out, and that's all there is to it. Now, once the texture dries, all you have to do is prime and paint the wall, and it will be as good as new. Yes, drywall patching is a multi-day project, but it's also a key piece of home maintenance. So next time you accidentally put a hole in the wall, you'll be able to fix it without a problem.